Hi, this is Mandy from Sunflowers and Doors. Welcome back to my channel and to my very messy desk. I am working on week one of the Bugtopia collaboration with Suzanne from Nonstop Papercrafts. And week one is to create a field journal or a field notebook, something along those lines. So I was going to do a bog standard, just a little notebook, but I had this kind of material, and I don't remember. It must have been something like Temu or Sheen or something along those lines I got it from. And then I remembered years and years and years ago that I'd watched a video from Nick from Nick the Booksmith make a cover for a journal. And she made that out of green leather. It was beautiful. Now, I've looked for the video and I can't find it. But I did have some notes because I was going to create the project. So I don't have the video to follow. This is not going to be what Nick has done. But I'm hoping it's going to be kind of some sort of similarity, if you like. And that's the idea. So I'm going to kind of have a play and see what I can and can't do. Now, my desk is covered with things because I've already done week two's video, but I did it back to front. So I did week two first, then week one. And I just haven't even sorted my desk out yet. But I had a thought on this and thought, I can't wait. I have to do it now. So that was my thinking. So when I watched the original video, I do remember cutting out some templates. Now, I'm not going to use them all, but I am going to use this as the main cover. So this is 8 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which is, I think, 145. I don't even know. 145 millimeters. I don't know, 14 point. No, it's not. I don't know where I've got those measurements from. Yes, I do. It's 21 to 1, 2, 3. I think is 20.3 centimeters and 14.5 centimeters that way. Okay. So that's going to be the cover. It's going to be a nice little notebook that you could just pop into your pocket or do whatever. I kept myself in the process of cutting this material, so everything's going a bit peak-tong at the moment, but we're still going to go ahead and we're still going to have a play. I had all these pieces of cards. I know that one was for a pocket, but I didn't know what these were for. I think these were potentially pockets for the other side over here. But I only had a small piece of this material and I didn't want to mix and match, and I don't mind this inside because I think it looks quite authentic. So what I've done is I have cut, and I've got embossing glaze all over here. I cut my material 8 inches by 5 3/4. Then I cut a pocket, inside pocket, which is 5 3/4 inches, so it matches the height, and it's 3.5 inches across. But as you can see, I just cut a little bit of a divot out of that just because it makes it easier to put things in and out. What I had left over from here, I could have done lots of different things with. I mean, in fairness, I was going to go with a little tuck, so I just cut a little piece off and thought I'll have a tuck on the one side, but I could have a pocket here, another pocket, so I might do that instead. Now, fabulously, this cuts beautifully on my paper trimmer. So there was no messing around. So that would be a pocket there as well. So it's that simple. I had this sheet of material. I quite like that one as well, actually. I cut out the measurements for the main piece, which was 8 inches by 5 3/4 inches. I cut out a pocket for the inside, which is 5 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches, and just cut this little bit of a divot out. This is going to be 5 3/4 inches tall as well. Might need to trim that actually, but I haven't measured that. That was just what was left over. So this is just short of 2 inches, so 5 centimetres. And I'm going to sew it now before I do anything else, because this is just going to be the most basic, simple cover. Okay, so I'm going to sew it now, and I'll be back with you. Okay, so that is our little cover. Now it does need a little bit of tidying up. My sewing isn't the greatest, in fairness. So it needs a little bit of tidying up, but I could also just ink that to avoid getting myself in a pickle, which is ultimately what I would do. So anyway, that is our cover, and as I said, really basic. There's a pocket there and there's a pocket there, and then it will fold over like so. Now this is where I need to tidy. It'll fold over like so, and I'm just going to tidy this bit up a bit more. That's better. So it'll fold over like so, and that's our little cover. Now I haven't decided yet what closure I'm going to put on it quite yet, but I'll worry about that again because I'm really not overly concerned at this stage what cover it's going to be. Just putting a little bit of ink on the edges so you can't see that white quite as much, and that's our cover. So let's pop that to one side. I will be doing I want to do a notebooky thingamabob. I could add these little things onto it, but I think that might make it look, a lot smarter, but I want this to be quite like a field notes. So I want it to be quite grungy type, grungy. Now I don't want to have to pierce through this because I've already sewn this on, although would have been an idea to have done that first. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to attach this to this with some brads, if I can find my brads, that is. If I can find brads that will fit in here is the issue. There'll be one there, and if I can get one in the same colour, that would be perfect. Although I'm not sure I've got any of that colour left. That's smaller, is it? Yeah. It's not, no. Sorry, you can see my head in this as well, probably. That's a cool brad, isn't it? That's not gonna, I don't think that'll hold in there. I don't think it'll fit. I think it's too I'm gonna have to go with these ones, I think, which shouldn't make too much of a, oh, hang on. No, oh, is that, I think, yeah, that's the colour I want. So I'm going to pierce a hole in this. I will be trimming around it, so I'm not overly worried about it being perfect at the moment. I just want to get the brads in to hold it in place. So we got one there. And we'll have one there. And then what I'll do is I'll cut that down and that will go on here, but I'll do that towards the end. Just take a bit off of that now so it's not in the way. And I can cut that down, straighten it up, cut it down and pop that on the front. So that'll be our cover there. I could have put another pocket on here, but I don't think it's needed. So I'm going to put that to one side because I don't want to get caught up in all the what I'm doing now. Now I do know this was the size of the template I used, and I'm going to put a journal in there, but I would like the journal to be a little bit sturdier. So I don't want it to be too flimsy, I suppose is what I'm saying. So I want there to be a cover on it. Now this isn't going to fit in as it is, obviously, because this is the same size as what we've cut down. So I'm not measuring, I'm just cutting at the moment. And what I want to do is I've cut a bit off the length and I want to see if that will fit in here. Which it will do. So that'll be a perfect size for my journal. So this is going to be my journal cover. So I'm just going to fold it in half actually, because none of this is going to be perfect. It's all going to be grungy style, you know. And I will need to tidy that up a little bit, just because it's not straight. And then I will be creating my papers to go inside. So I coffee dyed some paper the other day. And the idea is that this will be my journal pages. So I'm going to want that to go inside there, like that. So I think I'm wondering, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in half. So that'll give me 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Less wastage if I do it this way. So I'm gonna cut my paper in half like that, and then that will give me loads where I can create my inserts. So these are going to be, let's say, we're going to go 9 centimetres by 12.5. So 9 by 12.5 centimetres. So I'll do a couple at a time. And that should fit. Yeah, I may need to trim them down a little bit width-wise. But we'll have a look at that when we do it. So again, 9 by 12.5. So, oops. So we got 9 by 12.5, and like I said, I'm probably going to have to trim this down a little bit. That's strange. Must have cut that the wrong way. Yeah, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit, and that then should fit in there quite comfortably. It'll fit in now, but I just want to trim it down so that they're all the same size. So that is a job not for today, or not for now anyway, but it will be a job for before we finish. So we've got our cover with a plate on the front. I'm glad this is such a dark colour because you can't see all my mistakes. So we've got a cover with a book plate and we've got our signatures. So this is going to be our main journal cover, if you like. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is just ink around the edges. Just want to grungy this up a little bit. vintage photo I'm using. Okay. I think I'm going to be using some lace or something on the outside, but it needs to be nothing too frilly or pretty. And I don't want anything that's going to cause me too much trouble when I pop it in and out of the folder. And that maybe, it's a bit grungy, so that might, no, I don't think that's what I'm after. That might work. Let's create it first, I think, before we make our mind up. Yeah, I think we'll create it first and then we'll make our minds up. So, to create, I have got some things to play with. So I've got some fussy cuts from the kit, but I have also got Tracy Fox's stamps and her paper pad. This is Tracy Fox's Entomology stuff. Now, I haven't used it yet. I got it because I was really, really excited. And I wanted to create with it. Now, I could have used papers from the kit, but I wanted to do something different. This paper is just fabulous. I love it. I will create a whole journal with it at some point. I think I quite like that one. So yeah, I will create a whole journal with it. But for now, I'm just wanting to create some for my cover. So the cover is, I hate measuring, so I'm more about just guesstimating, to be honest. So that would be around there. That would be around there. So I'm going to fold that in half because that will give me both sides. This cutter's really had it. It doesn't cut straight for toffee. So you really have to watch yourself with this. That guideline at the top, just for some reason, just doesn't work. So I've probably put it through his paces a bit, mind, so that won't have helped. Okay. So I'm thinking I'm going to have this on the front, like that, and this one on the back, perhaps even with a pocket, I don't know. So let's just ink this around first. Okay, and then we'll glue it on. Although I can't find my glue. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm going to do, I think, some glue stick for the middle. And then we'll use some glitter glue for the edges. So that is the front, and for the back I'll do the same, I think. We'll use some glue stick for the centre pieces and some more glitter glue for the edges. A little bit short there, but we can always add to that if we want to. Okay, so that is our cover. And like I said, I've got a load of, have I got any bees in here is the $1 million question. I think I've probably used them all, but we'll see what we've got. So there's a bee there, there's a bee there, a bee there. We've got some notes. Got another bee there. I think I've taken all the big bees. Yeah, I think that's probably it. So they'll go back in there. And we've also got Tracy Fox's stamps. So I want to decorate the inside with some of these first. You can get these on Tracy Fox's Etsy, and I think they may even be on her Ko-fi site. Okay, so what are we going to use? What are we going to use? Let's have a look and see what this looks like before I pop it on there. Okay. Now bear in mind that stamp is new, and my ink is probably old, so that's not going to help. and pop that there. These are very, very sticky. And then I think I'm going to go with, let's go with the Entomology one. And then I think I want, these stamps are fabulous, mind. Still very straight. Close that for now. I'll do some more playing. for that one, I think. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm going to use those just yet, so we'll come back to those. I think I am going to use some of these bugs. I've had this for so long now, and I've been so excited waiting to use it. And when Suzanne and I talked about the collaboration, I had no idea what theme she was going to go with. Always thinking about, so we talked about themes, and she'd always wanted to do a entomology theme. So that was perfect, absolutely perfect. So I get to use them, which is really cool. Got the shakes a bit at the moment, so you'll have to excuse me. These definitely get stronger the more you use them. What have we got down here? Got some cool little specimen bits. I was going to use some different colours like greens and blues and stuff, but it's not going to go with the colour scheme, I don't think. So I'm just going to stick with some similar. It goes there. There's so many different bits you can use in this kit. It's really cool, really, really cool. Stamp set, I meant, not kit. Oops. In fairness, you can't really go wrong. You just use the stamps that are there and have fun with them, you know. Had a bit of a problem with that. I don't think I need that on the back. I think that one on the front looks cool. I could pop another one over here. Does it need it? It doesn't need it. But it just adds a bit more interest. I was going to glaze these, embossing glaze, so they stuck out more, you know, glued, glossy, whatever you want to call it. But I decided not to. So that is my cover so far. I got some bits and pieces to still do on the inside of that one. And I do want to possibly use, you know, I don't know what it'll work like. Work like, is that a right word? I should also somewhere have that, which I do, which I could use. So this could go on the front. I would have had to have put that on probably before I did my bits, but it'll go on the back definitely. So this, believe it or not, goes on really well with art glitter glue, because the art glitter glue dries. Clear, so you don't have any problems. And then I can just cut off the excess here and the excess there. And again, it just adds a little bit more interest, I think. So that's my cover. I do still have work to do on the inside. I'm going to use a little bit of coffee dye in stenciling, I think. I normally use the brushes, but I've got this to hand, so may as well go with that. And again, just films some of that. And if you're out and about, working in the field, you're likely going to be drinking lots of coffee. Do I need to put any on the back? I don't need to put any on the back, but I might do, just so it looks authentic. There we go. Okay, so we've got, I'll just pop this back. So we've got our cover, we've got our signatures, which I need to cut down, and I also think I'm going to be adding a little bit of stamping on the signatures as well every now and again. So we'll have our signatures, our little book, and that will pop in there like that as our journal. So I think that will look quite cool. I'm hoping it'll look quite cool. I am going to go over this actually, just to make it a bit darker. Just because it'll go better. I need to change this. And as I said, I need to do a little bit of work on that one. So let's get the scissors. I might. Do I want to take a bit off that, the edges? Do I want to take a bit off that? Is the $1,000,000 question. I can try as well and see if I can build, make one that'll fit in there. That'll fit, you know? Not just, yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, so if I... That's roughly going to be the size. And that should then fit in there, which it will. And we'll cut this with fabric scissors. I know, I'm sorry. I'm not the best at differentiating products for different things. So that will go in there like that, and then I can use some stamps. Have I got notes on one of these? I'm sure I will have. I'm sure Tracy will have included something that I can use. There's a cute Entomology one there. So let's take that out. that in there. Again, I'm not measuring, I'm not worrying about whether it fits, whether it doesn't fit, all of that business. What I am going to do, so that'll go in there like that, which will look cool, I think. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue these down like that, and then I'm going to glue this onto some card that I've got lying around, just so that'll give it some more strength. And then when I pop it in there, I can glue it to the back piece of fabric. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for 5 because it's starting to get very dark, and I don't want to work on it while I'm making mistakes. So I'm going to leave it there, and for you I'll be 5 minutes probably, or less. But for me, I will pick back up on this tomorrow. So leave it there and I will come back soon. Speak to you soon. Bye for now. Okay, so it's the following day for me. And we're back on the Entomology journal. So yeah, let's pick up where we were from yesterday. So yesterday we created the cover here. The lighting's definitely better. We created the cover, we created a cover for a journal, some signature pages, and a few other bits. So I am going to quickly just finish our this was our Entomology label. So that is going to go in there. And for some reason these haven't they haven't stuck particularly well, because normally it stops things from going through. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about now, because yeah, so that would go in there like that. And then we're going to glue this on here. So I don't know whether I want it down the bottom like that or at the top. I'm just looking. I can't decide. I like it both ways. I'll take a little bit more of this off here. I do like it both ways. I like it on the bottom and I like it at the top. Oh, that's not fun, is it? Okay, so let's make sure that's folded in half so we got that straight. Let's grab some fabric tack. Okay, and we'll pop that. I'm going to go up the top. Let's just make a decision. I'm going to go up the top there. Once that's dried, I will use a rubber on that. Which I do have somewhere, but I'll have to find it. But we'll rub that a bit off there. Okay, and then as I said, I've got a cover here, and I need to cut down the pages of this. I know you're probably all going to be screaming at me now. Because this is not the way to do it at all. But this is my messy version. So yeah, I wouldn't advise this, but this is my, I can't be bothered to clean my desk version of cutting these down. And now I just need to find my okay. So that then should fit in there. Which it does really well. Okay. Excuse me. So I'm going to pop these to one side because, in fairness, the whole point of this is that we are working with two kits. So we've got Suzanne's kit and my kit. And that, because of that, I want to do a version with both of those papers as well. Now, I have used Tracy's in the first piece because like I said, I've had them for ages and I've been desperately trying to get a copy of them. And then once I got them, I desperately wanted to use them. So that's my thought process with using Tracy's, but it is only right and proper that I also use the kit pages to create some covers. Okay. So they're probably not identical sizes. No. Are they going to fit in there? No. Let's just take a little bit more off. Okay. Oh, start again, Mandy. It's probably too wide still as well. I don't know anybody else that I've ever seen who crafts as chaotically as I do. So you will have to excuse me. Okay, there we go. So we've got these two. So I'm going to ink those. I'm not going to decorate the insides of these on camera because I want to be able to decide what I'm going to do with them. So all I'm doing at the moment is just going to do the outsides. I bought this paper. It's supposed to be a card. And it was recommended by a crafter, a YouTuber. They had it in their Amazon recommended list. So I bought it. And it is awful. it's cracks and splits. So here on the fold, so I've got a whole ream of this stuff that I couldn't send back because I'd started using it, but it's really, really bad, so I'm not going to recommend this one to you in any way, shape or form. Okay, so I've got some pages from the kit. This is, I'm going to work with my kit first. So I am just going to cut off these white bits, and then we can have a play. Oh, there's 2 pages here. And I'm going to stick with the bee theme just because I absolutely love bees. I don't really know why, but I just love bees. Not on my person as such, but I think they're beautiful creatures. Okay, so I'm going to do one of these first. So we're going to go with so I'm going to cut this down to about here and here, and then the back will be here and here. So there's one. And there is 2. Okay, so again I'm going to use some glue stick. Ah, there it is. No, let's go with some glue stick. And some glitter glue. So I'm going to pop one over here. And we'll pop one over here. And then we are going to decorate. So again, I'm going to use, I think, some of Tracy's stamps because we liked these a lot. And then we'll use some of these ones to make. I'm wondering wondering. So that just gives us a little bit of a, so you can pick it up there on the eyes, which I think might look quite cool. And do I need to add anything else? Probably not at this point. So we've got the one we did yesterday, which obviously the colours are beautiful on that, but then we've got a very different version here in some of these colours. I should have some washi tape. Because I'm going to have to put some on that corner. Have a look at these and see what we think. It's not a perfect match, but I think it's going to stabilise this because it is, like I said, it's not the best card in the world. And this does have some blue in it. And I don't think I need to add anything else to that one. I could just carry on going on and on and on, but I think we're okay. Yeah. So that is the second version. And I'm not gonna do the next one on camera because it will just make the video so long. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, so done a little bit of playing around with these two. So this is using Suzanne's kit, That's from one of the first kits from mine. I haven't had to do a lot to this because the kit is fabulous. Put some bee stamps on there, a little bit of fabric with a plate on that. And then this one here was the bee one. Now, these are coming in week 2. But I did think about what that would look like on one of these. It'd probably look better on that one than the other one. So I'm going to glue that on. So I'm going to pop that on there. And as I said, they're coming in week 2, so keep an eye out. So there's 2 covers there. I'm going to let that one dry. And then I'm going to just sew this one in here. To be honest, I might just attach it all together like that and sew it all in because it's only a real small book. So I'll pop those there, like that. We're going to do, I think we're going to do 1, 2, and that one there. And I think I'm going to use some thick thread today rather than cotton, just because it's brown. And I need a needle. Tell you what I might do though quickly. I'm just going to rub this on here. Just so that it catches some of that wax on the thread, so it makes it a little bit easier to work with. And it's a real simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'm going to come in here like that. I'm going to go in there like that, down to this bottom one. Oops, daisy. And then back in through this middle one, being careful not to go through the stitch. Make sure that's nice and tight. And then just a knot there. And then we can take these off. And we've got a notebook. You could add some little beads or charms on that if you wanted to. That would go in our little notebook holder here. And we've got our little field guide notebook. And as I said, there's a couple of different options there if we wanted to turn those into mini little notebooks, then we could do that as well. I'm just letting that one dry. So, cute little field notebook. Use as some journaling space. This is removable. I will decorate some of the pages, but for now, that is it. And it didn't, well, it probably took a lot longer than I realised, but it didn't feel like it took forever, and it was quite simple to put together, so I really like how that's come out. Yeah, I think that looks quite cool. So that is our field guide notebook, and yeah, it'd be interesting to know what you think, so be sure to leave some comments in the comment section below. I'll leave it there, and I will catch you in the next video. Until then, bye for now.